What's up, guys and gals, and welcome to Indie Shindig, where we dig into indie games and discover whether or not they're worth your time. In today's episode, we'll fight for food. Super actual sellout game of the hour steps into the ring and attempts to ring your bell. Developed by Pterodactyl, the company that brought us Unrest, Will Fight for Food fits a lighter frame around their usually serious writing style and combines humor with classic beat-em-up action. Having brought the beefcake and obligatory bottle of beatdowns, the question still remains, is Will Fight for Food palatable? Will Fight for Food puts players in the tightly bound boots of Jared Dent, an alcoholic pro wrestling superstar who has his athletic endeavors turned inside out by sweaty, highly toned, over-underwear clad, bouncing banana hammock bearers of betrayal. Finding that his once luminous limelight has dimmed, old Jared has found himself homeless, broke, and figuratively under-illuminated. Now, in order to restore his rightful place among the pugilistic peerage, Dent must bite, beat, berate, and bury boot in the collective booty of Whatevsville. He will accomplish this task by alternating between threatening violence, performing violence, and cheering the possibility of sudden and inexplicable violence across the literally lawless landscape. At a liminal level, Will Fight for Food is a simple side-scrolling beat-em-up and not much more. Players are given free rein to drunkenly meander the city as they please, choosing locations one by one to perform quests and shine up eyes. The former is accomplished by speaking with individuals maskless, whereas the latter requires a facial covering toggled on and off quickly with the spacebar. The controls are a modified WASD, which requires both hands on the keyboard, but since the default settings were awkward, in my opinion, I ended up rebinding most of them, something that I highly recommend before you play the game. I attempted to use a 360 controller with the game, but for all my efforts I had trouble getting it to work, but perhaps a greater mind than mine will figure out the mystery and report it in the comments below. My endeavors included blowing on the controller, dancing nude in the moonlight while praying to the greater old ones, quitting prematurely, and eating Ben & Jerry's to calm down. But your personal method might work better. Punches, kicks, and an amazingly overpowered dash attack are bound to 3 keys, making the game absurdly simple to pick up, and while the combat lacked impact and depth, I still found myself enjoying it in much the same way that I enjoyed the classic NES Ninja Turtle games. Simple but workable enough to apply some action and lubricant to the narrative. Oddly enough, the real brawn of the game comes from its narrative, which in true Pterodactyl form is well written. Jared Dent himself is a sarcastic, loudmouth, sociopathic anti-hero who frequently fires off-color abusive comments at his supporting cast, who in turn show no hesitation in roasting his various failings. I'm a tough sell when it comes to yucks, but I'll admit I both cracked a smile and laughed out loud several times on my way through the game. The characters vary from caricatures to walking embodiments of sarcasm and satire, but by the end of the game I found myself enjoying each interaction while looking forward to the reappearance of previous friends and foes alike. Comedy is definitely arrayed towards the adult end of the spectrum in Will Fight for Food, so obviously I would say to keep that in mind before accidentally purchasing for younger gamers. The alternation between action and conversational sections is seamless and something that is appreciated in the game. It's as simple as spamming on the spacebar. However, while the combat sections are straightforward, the game also has this odd, obscure conversational minigame, if it can even be called that, in which players choose attitudes and stances with which to deliver their lines to their conversational partners, and during these debates it will swing their opinion up or down of you. From what I can tell, this entire mechanic is mostly just a podium from which to set up jokes and like non-sequiturs and situational comedy, but I figured it bore mentioning because it does come up a couple times over the course of the gameplay. Rewards for successfully navigating these sections range from ending swaps to humorous tidbits or quicker quest completions, but obviously if you get bored of talking, you can just walk away and bite and headbutt your way through the more cerebrally threatening word exchanges as an alternative. Whereas Will Fight for Food is not a complicated game, nor is it a long one. In fact, I would say that it barely qualifies as a short game, because I finished my first playthrough in a little over an hour, and that was having found a lot of the side quests and I did a lot of the optional gear. Still, it does have some replayability, and for those who found themselves having fun on the first playthrough, I can assure you that situations turn out differently if you vary your answers around or your methods while navigating the quests that Whatevsville throws at you. I sincerely doubt that people will talk about Will Fight for Food 20 years from now, but in all honesty, beating down power-armored battle nerds and mutineering furries was a remarkably okay way to spend a Sunday afternoon. And what other game can you find that allows you to be lectured on the tenets of peacemaking by a guy named Fighticus? I'll leave you to ponder that question, and thank you for being here for Indie Shindig, the series where I, Splattercat, dive into little indies and risk drowning so that you won't have to. If you like this review, feel free to leave me a like or subscribe down below. It does help the channel in more ways than you know, and helps me keep pushing out fresh content for you to step in. I'll see you all next time. Hi, do out there, everybody, and I'll see you in the next Indie Shindig.